Hi, welcome to the Raw Experience. I'm Karen Belinsky Matheson from The Naked Grief.
And I'm Melissa Bishop from Wholehearted Studio. Today we're exploring grief and life's complex emotions through the lens of friends to help you recognize and heal your invisible losses.
Today, our episode is titled The Day Simple Tasks Became Mountains. This is actually the episode of Friends known as the one with the East German Laundry Detergent. This is the episode where Chandler and Phoebe agree to do their breakup together at Central Perk, and where Ross and Rachel end up on their first pseudo date doing laundry together. There's a lot going on in this episode, which is kind of exciting. And we see again the beginning of potential romance brewing between Ross and Rachel, even though I don't know if Rachel even feels that vibe just yet. While we meet Janice for the first time and see Chandler struggle with trying to end it, and Phoebe seamlessly just breaks it off with her current guy just by saying some kind of nicety, and she gives him a hug, and he walks out not broken, which is kind of wild. So where do you want to dive into this, Melissa?
I know, I just wanted to have everyone think about have you ever felt like if you could just master one simple thing, you could handle anything life throws at you?
That's a good thought. And it's exactly what Rachel eventually confides in
Yeah.
Ross about the laundry. She's a laundry virgin. She's a little bit spoiled. She always had somebody take care of it. It's implied that they may have actually had help at the house that took care of it. I don't even know that her mother did laundry. Um, it's where it's important to note this actually because at one point in time there's a list involved, which later in the season that Ross creates, and one of the things on that list is Rachel's a little bit spoiled. So we're kind of seeing that she really is. Is it her fault that she was raised with kind of a silvery spoon? Maybe not, but she's never had to be independent and do anything on her own. So learning to do something, it's
Right. But it goes back to like a lot of things in life though, where we have to start a lot of times with one simple task. We can't climb a mountain in one day, right? So remembering that with your grief process is sometimes it's a matter of taking one simple step towards something, that you don't have to feel like you have to do it all in one moment or that it's all going to change overnight. This is a long journey of little steps to get to a point that you want to be at.
and you're right. So even just breaking that down even more, it's those moments of gratitude. It's those days when even the smallest tasks seem like mountains, and giving yourself the grace to go, hey, you know what? I got out of bed before noon, or I took a shower. It's those little baby steps that do add up to bigger things. So, okay, maybe today it was the shower, and tomorrow you made your bed and took a shower. It's checking off little boxes to get yourself back to a new routine and a new normal for yourself. And Rachel's learning to do that. Like, she's got the job, even if it's not a dream job. She is now working at Central Perk. She's making her own money, even if it's not as much as she wants it to be. And now she's learning how to wash her own clothes and empower herself. And hey, it's fortunate that she lives with a chef because we never really see her embark on the cooking angle. We know that she can't make coffee very well on her own, though.
No, no. So from like a spiritual perspective, like for me, it was like if you want to look at it from a different perspective, it was meditation. Like I had these things like I thought, oh, I have to meditate for 30 minutes. I have to keep my mind quiet. I have to do this. I have to do that. And it kept overwhelming me. So I just kept being like, I can't meditate. But then one of my wise teachers said to me, just start with 1 minute and focus on your breath. And then that 1 minute led to two, and then three. And then over time, I created meditation practice. So I love how in this episode, Rachel is being able to look at it like, I don't have to look at all of the mountains that I have to climb. I'm just going to look at this one and decide that if I can do this, then I'm going to do something else. And that was how I looked at that with meditation. If I can do 1 minute, eventually I can do two, and then I can do three.
Yeah, I even saw that within my own journey, and even working in the death care industry. Like, it's those little tasks that can sometimes feel so overwhelming, and just like you said, one at a time, small steps, and allowing yourself the grace of understanding that sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards. And we see that with Rachel when Ross goes, "Oh, oops, uh-oh," and Rachel kind of panics a little bit, and he's like, "Well, a red sock got in the white." Like, it doesn't mean you failed. It just means you learned from it. And I love Phoebe's analogy. This is so great. All your clothes match. She picked a win out of it. And and it's important to know this. And she even says, I'm gonna do this. 'Cause she wanted all her clothes to match. So it's we can look at things differently by just changing the lens a little bit.
Yeah, well, let's talk about something else in this too. Like, how many of us have been taken care of in ways that actually made us vulnerable?
Okay. Dive a little deeper with me on that one.
Mhm.
Um, an example, because I'm a little stumped. So go ahead, expand on that.
So, if someone constantly shows up for you, like Rachel's parents did, and do things for you, you become and you start to identify with helplessness instead of empowerment and an ability to do things because you're always expecting someone else to do it for you. Sometimes this can happen in partnerships where you never learn how to do certain things because, oh, my partner has always done that. So you don't, when that goes away, then you're like, oh, crap.
Wow.
And that leaves you feeling very vulnerable because now you're in a position where you don't know how to do sometimes everyday tasks like laundry.
Right. So this
Yeah.
is where cinema therapy really helps, because um it's a lot easier to identify through Rachel than it is into like my own personal life. So with Rachel, let's keep in mind that she left Barry. She was supposed to be the wife. She wasn't supposed to work. She was going to be the housewife. So they're young. Yeah, we know that Barry's a dentist. He probably makes pretty good money, but does he make enough to have had somebody coming in and doing the laundry? Was she going to need to learn how to do this on her own anyway? How successful would she have been with that? How defeated would she have felt at times when she was trying to do these things on her own, not ever having had done them before? He had expectations of what the missus was going to have waiting for him at home: clean piles of laundry, folded clothes, ironed, home cooked meals. And would she have been able to meet those expectations after having been pampered for her entire life? Or was she living under the expectation that they were going to have somebody cooking and cleaning and doing laundry for them? We never really, they'd never explored what her lifestyle would have been had she married Barry. But I have a feeling that both of them were expecting something totally different.
Yeah, and this really drives home a point of how major life changes can reveal our dependency and the shame around not knowing how to do adult things.
Yeah, and kudos to Rachel for being comfortable enough to expose her vulnerability and admit to Ross, like, I've never done this before. I really don't know what I'm doing. And Ross stepping up and feeling all like, wow, wait a minute. I'm gonna be with you the first time you're doing something. I
Mhm.
mean, it might not be physical intimacy, but she was doing laundry an intimate moment because she had never been there, done that. And everything that they encountered in this laundry experience, her having to battle the lady for the laundry cart and to fight with her over use of the washing machine because she put her basket on it, and that lady keeps making up rules and trying to be this like big bully, and Rachel held her ground. Mousy little Rachel wasn't so mousy during this episode. Like she stood up for herself. Ross was there, but he kind of took a step back and let her take control, which kudos to both of them. For Rachel for being able to step up, and Ross for not wanting to take the lead and be the hero. He was the hero by letting her take the lead. Just so cool.
Yeah, you want to know one of my adult things I didn't know how to do after my divorce? That was crazy. I didn't know how to use a lawnmower or a weed whacker.
That's an
I had
experience.
never done it. And I looked at this lawnmower and I was like, thank goodness for YouTube. But there's all these little things in life that, and then, like I stood there crying because I was like, I have to mow the lawn and I don't know what to do. I don't know how to weed. Like it was all these little things that like I had never partaken in. In my entire life, I lived in apartments, so I didn't have. And then I had this house, but I had somebody who took care of the outside. And then when I didn't have that, I had to put my adult pants on and be like, okay, I'm going to learn how to do this and figure it out. Kind of like Rachel. And it was empowering. It was so crazy. Like the first time I finished the lawn, I was like, I did that.
I relate. So after my husband passed, we had all these tools. He was an electrician, so I had this shed full of tools. And seriously, everything in my house started to break apart even a week before the funeral. So it was learning how to repair everything, and got all these tools and I don't know how to use them. And you're right about YouTube. Luckily, too, though, I also had a 12-year-old son who had helped dad a lot. So it was okay, well, I've got to put this panel back on, and I don't know how to use an electric drill, and I have a 12-year-old kid showing me how to use it. And then I had a flood, and I had to have the floor pulled up, and then I wasn't paying somebody to lay it back down, and I learned how to lay floor, and I'd have holes in the wall and have to learn how to drywall. And it's crazy when you start learning this stuff that you just never thought you'd have to learn. And you're right, it is very empowering when you're like, hey, I know how to do this. I'm not an expert,
Nope.
but there are times when I don't feel like I have to absolutely call somebody. And I now know enough that if I do call somebody, I'm not going to be taken advantage of with them telling me stuff that needs to be done that doesn't.
Right.
Because I've always felt really weird about that too. Like when you're a single woman and you're calling an expert in, are they actually telling you the honest to goodness truth, or are they going, you don't know anything, so I can just add a laundry list of stuff on and charge you way more than I would somebody else? And thank goodness for having people in our lives that can help educate us on those pieces. Like I learned a lot from my husband with how he did business and what how he would explain things to people. And that was always his fear when he was dealing with single women, was them feeling like he was taking advantage of them. So he broke things down and tried to explain it as best he could so that nobody ever felt like he was taking them for a ride. And I ask a lot of questions when I call somebody now.
Yeah. Well, let's move over to Chandler and his fear or being afraid of hurting Janice's feelings. Karen, how does this mirror the way people avoid difficult grief conversations?
So when when you're in a position where you know that somebody's hurting and you don't know how to show up anymore, it's real easy to avoid and sugarcoat and stay there for the wrong reasons and not the right ones. Um and sorry for the pause, folks. It's one of those things where finding the right words is what Chandler actually struggled with in this episode, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's making sure that when you're in a vulnerable time, the last thing you want to do is make things worse than they already are. Chandler knows that he's not happy in a relationship with Janice. He knows that he wants out, but he respects her enough that he doesn't want to break her heart. And that can make it pretty challenging, really. Like, how do you let somebody down without hurting their feelings? I think by the time we hit our middle age, we've had these things happen to us where we've had our feelings
Mhm.
hurt, and we've also been the one to hurt somebody else, even if we didn't intend to. We also know how to do it intentionally. Like we know the things that we could say that would break somebody apart. Hopefully, we're not that vindictive to do that to somebody, but when it comes to stepping away, how do you do that gracefully? We saw Phoebe do it. Like I
Well,
said, she said something, we don't even know what the magic words were, but the guy gave her a hug and left feeling okay.
well, I think part of that conversation, and this is where I do a lot with RL with my Revolutionary Love program, is teaching people how to communicate without blaming the other person. It's taking ownership of the situation and saying, "Look, this just doesn't work for me." And yeah, I mean, things are always there's always some kind of hurt when something ends. It's honoring that there are going to be feelings there that are going to come up, being present with the person for those feelings, and honoring your space in it, and knowing that ending it ultimately is going to allow that person to do and move on in their life as well as you, and that the two of you just weren't in alignment for a future together, or um, the path that the both of you thought. So, in the end of the day, when we avoid conflict, we're actually making it worse than facing it.
Yeah, and unfortunately
So,
too, I guess if we're not direct, then we have the pattern start. Like how many times do we see Janice come back?
right? Yep.
And
Got to break those patterns, folks. I mean, that's where we end up repeating relationships that we don't want to be in, because we're not owning what we really need in a relationship.
well, and then Janice actually says at some point, I don't remember which time back she was, but at some point she's like, "Don't you get it? We're destined to be together. Like the universe keeps bringing us together. New Year's, Valentine's Day, like we keep bumping into each other. This city is huge, and you and I keep having kismet. So the universe wants us to be together." She's determined and hell-bent that this is supposed to be their destiny. And he's been so polite and avoidant on just severing those ties that it's allowed them to do this dance really throughout 10 seasons. And but it is interesting because I've been in Janice's shoes where I have felt like certain people circling back in life was supposed to happen. And maybe it was just because the door didn't get closed the right way and it kept opening and inviting the wrong people back in. I don't know.
Yeah. So we leave you with this: where do you need to ask for teaching rather than rescue, folks? And sometimes the most profound growth happens in the most ordinary moments, like a laundromat on a Saturday night. We look forward to seeing you at the next episode.